have a job interview coming up? Are you nervous? Are you scared? Well, if that's the case, here are a few tips and tricks that you can use to increase the chances of landing your dream job. Number one, research your future employer. It's an extremely overlooked step that I feel like could land you your job if you just do that one thing. Researching your future employer not only gives you all the info on what it's like to work there, but it also shows you the company's culture, how easy or how hard it might be to make your goals, and what are the typical salary ranges for someone in your position. And how likely is it that people are given the chance to move up in the corporate ladder? But more importantly, it sets you aside as a candidate who has taken the extra initiative to learn everything and anything that they can about their future employer, and that's always a plus size. Number two, practice answering interview questions. We all know the statement, practice makes perfect, and that's a very, very, very true statement that could make or break your interview process. If you've done your research well enough, you should be able to find out what type of questions the recruiters might ask, so practicing your answers is crucial. You want to be able to seem at ease while answering the questions to show that you possess all the capabilities needed to do the job right. But you also don't want to seem too arrogant, so make sure that you practice out loud your answers as well as all sorts of type of questions so that you won't be stumped in the middle of the job interview. Three, understanding the STAR method. In every single job interview, there is going to come a time when the recruiter or the hiring manager asks you about a time when something happened in your last job and how you handled it, or either they'll make up a scenario. Both types of times will deal with the challenge that you had to face. So, what is the STAR method? S stands for situation, T for task, A for action, and R for result. Start off by explaining the situation with precise details, then describe what the particular task was that you had to do, as well as the challenge. Then describe what actions you took at that moment to get the task done, and end it with the result of the outcome and what you took from that particular situation. Make sure that your answer is structured and concise and that it doesn't appear that you're babbling on and on and on. Make your points and move on. Number four, dress appropriately for your interview. First impressions are always going to be lasting impressions, so make sure that yours stays on the hiring manager's mind in a good way. You can find most companies' employee handbooks with their dress code inside on the internet these days, so use that to guide what it is that you wear in the interview. If you can't find it, in most cases, a business suit in the colors black or blue will do just fine. 5. Think about your questions in advance. Now, if you've made a good impression on your hiring manager so far and he or she plans to move you forward in the interview process, they're going to ask you if you have any questions for them. This is a very important part because it gives them a chance to see what your main concerns will be as an employee. All the answers you receive will let you know whether or not you're still looking forward to working with this particular company. So make sure that your questions that you ask them are professional and business-like. You can never go wrong with asking questions about how likely it is to move up in the company and what your sales goals might be. Don't talk about salary in this moment. Wait for the hiring manager to bring it up. Number 6, know how to tackle the big question about salary. Most companies are not allowed to ask you how much you made previously, while others can, so it's always best to answer with a little bit of embellishing. If hiring managers see that you make way less than what they were expecting to give you, they're going to lowball you. So, while you're doing your research on the company, make sure that you make a note of how much someone in your particular job description makes so that you can compare that to how much you currently make, and when and if the question comes up, you have the best number in mind, which is as close to that as possible. You will also be asked how much you are expected to receive. The best answer to this question is to throw it right back on the hiring manager by saying, what's the best you can do for me? By saying this abdicates you from saying a number that's too low, that you end up missing on a couple $1,000s, but also not saying a number that's too high and eliminating yourself from being one of the top candidates as well. It's a very, very tricky slope, and for some people, it takes several interviews to get their dream salary. Let's face it, the interview process, it's gonna be stressful and it's gonna be scary. You'll be sweating, you'll be nervous, you won't know what to do, and no matter how well and experienced you are, that might come up. Vince Lombardi once said, it's not about what or whether or not you get knocked down, it's about whether you get back up. We're all going to be denied and told no every now and then. That's a fact of life. And for some, we'll be told more than others. But the key is to remember that those failures don't define us. The actions we take to preserve and achieve our success will. I hope these tips and tricks were helpful for you. And don't worry, research is key. And as long as you do that, you will be fine.